Beginning October 28th, 2025, USCIS is no longer accepting money orders or checks for their filing fees, so you're going to have to pay in a different way. My name is Rahim Dhanani. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney. I've been practicing U.S. immigration law for more than 25 years. I'm going to break down the new structure for payment and some things that you should consider as you're putting your applications together going forward. Okay, like I said, they're not accepting paper methods of payment. No more money orders, no more checks. And so what you have to do now is you have to either pay by credit card or through ACH. And the Immigration Service has forms for those types of payments. There's a form for ACH. It's called a G1650. And the form for credit cards is G1450. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand how the payments need to be made because, for example, if you're filing an H-1B and there's 4 different filing fees associated with it, you probably are not going to be able to combine all of those fees into one form. You're going to have to probably separate it out and file 4 separate forms with that application. So you would have like 4 G1450s or 1650s, depending on how you're paying for those applications. And also the other thing to keep in mind is the Immigration Service changes their policies all the time. And so you really want to look at their website and just kind of make sure you're up to date on how they're accepting payments tomorrow. And also just understand whether you can bundle those payments into one payment or whether you're going to have to prepare separate forms for those filings. There are some limited exceptions, but generally it's for people who have issues with setting up electronic payments or that have some financial issues with doing that. And I think for the vast majority of people, you're probably going to need to go ahead and submit those electronic filing forms with your applications to USCIS. So if you filed after October 28th and used paper checks or money orders, those cases are going to get rejected. So potentially you're going to affect your priority dates or your extension applications or your employment authorization documents. And there isn't really anything you can do at this point other than refile the application and make sure that you're using the electronic payment method. That's basically it. You just, refile those applications, make sure that there aren't any issues with refiling, make sure there's no removal issues associated with it or anything else, and then just go ahead and resubmit those applications. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're an employer, you want to basically update your workflow for how you pay the Immigration Service. If you're working with an attorney, you want to basically have that conversation with the attorney about how future payments are going to be made. And for everybody involved who is filing an application, regardless of whether you're a company or whether you're an individual, you probably, if you're paying with credit card, want to reach out to your credit card company and let them know that you're going to have some charges show up and give them the amounts. And that way the credit card company will hopefully not reject the payments as fraudulent because they probably are going to be wondering what those charges are. They're not normal for your transactions that you have had in the past. And so it may get flagged and it may get denied. And the problem with that is the Immigration Service is not going to rerun those charges. They're only going to do it once. And if the charge gets denied, they're going to reject your application. So it's really important that you notify your credit card company that you're making these charges so that they don't reject those charges when the Immigration Service tries to make the charge. Because like I said, your application will get denied if the charge doesn't go through, and they're not going to try to do the charges again after a couple of days or something like that at the Immigration Service. That's pretty much it, one and done. So there's a lot of issues with this new policy. Just being an immigration lawyer and listening to other immigration lawyers who've tried electronic payments in the past, there's been a lot of issues with like clerical issues at USCIS and applications getting rejected erroneously, incorrectly. There's just going to be a learning curve. I think we're going to probably have to file applications as soon as we can so that if things do get rejected, we have enough time to refile. So those are some basic thoughts. I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you later. Bye.